What is up? What is up? What is up? Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello. Hello, hello. How are we feeling today? How's it going? Oh, you guys can't see me. Yo, hey, yo, whoa, whoa, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Cheers. Cheers. My hair's not even up yet. I know. I know. I know. What's up? What's up? How are you guys today? Greetings from Thailand, he says. Greetings from Thailand. Hello. How's it going in Thailand today? What are you guys up to? What are you guys doing in Thailand right now? So, XRP News. XRP News. Good morning, good morning. Welcome, everybody. Joe Banky Banks. Is that your name, Banky Banks? Oh, Banky BKK. Banky BKK. Good morning, good morning. Banky Banks is a cool name too. Yo, 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 what's up? Joe, right off the bat with some donations. Joe, thank you so much. Joe Nasca, how are you today? I appreciate the support. It means a lot. Thanks, man. How are you? I'm trying to get trying to get everything set up. Boom, boom. I'm on a swivel. I'm on a swivel. Yo, hey, 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 yo. Yo, 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 yo. Stellar IBM News. Good morning, greetings. Pew, pew. Pew, pew. I almost thought about buying some Dogecoin. I had like some stocks, basically that Robinhood app that I keep talking about. They just added the Dogecoin, and there's a link in the description where you guys can get a free $5 stock when you sign up. And whenever you guys do that, I get a free $5 stock too. So it's a free $5 for you and for me. Someone signed up the other day. Thank you, Joe. Joe again. Thank you so much, Joe Nasca. I appreciate it. Love the show. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. Happy to be here. It means a lot. It means a lot. Thanks, man. That $2 goes a long way to helping me offset the costs. And eventually, I'd like to be able to let go of one of my other 4 jobs and do just more research and videos. That'd be awesome. I was thinking about buying some Dogecoin on Robinhood just because because whenever you guys sign up, it gives me a free stock. It gives you a free stock. It gives me a free stock. So I sold my $5 Sprint stock, and I was like, should I buy some Dogecoin? I don't know. It's a scam. It's a joke. It's not a scam. I'm not going to say scam, but Dogecoin's a joke coin, right? It's a joke coin, right? We all knew it was a joke coin. Why'd they add it to Robinhood? I don't understand. I thought you could get XRP on there, but you can't. You can only get Dogecoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. So, I thought about it though. I was like, I sold a Sprint stock. I have $5. Should I buy some Dogecoin? I didn't do it. I didn't do it yet. I just thought about it though because I was like, I don't know. I bought some Ethereum and some Bitcoin Cash instead. Looking at the reality of like why they add that though. Why they add Dogecoin doesn't make any sense to me. You should buy Dogecoin. Yes, buy some Dogecoin. Stellar 30% up. Stellar 30% up. Did you guys see that? Stellar's up 30%, 30 cents. Did it pass Litecoin? Stellar passed Litecoin by market cap. That's what some good news will do for you. That's what some good news will do for you, for sure. Yeah, you're right. You could make money on Dogecoin. You could buy some Doge and sell it. Even the inventor of the Dogecoin said he made it as a meme. That's true. But that doesn't stop it from being valuable. I guess what is value? It's only what someone's willing to pay for it. And if everyone's buying your Dogecoins. Yeah, tell me more, Brad Garlinghouse's right ear. Tell me more. What did you hear? What's up, what's up? How's it going, Lee? How are you? Intravision in the house. Go XLM. Litecoin's up to $90. So the whole market took a run. We're not above 300 billion yet. We're sitting at 295 billion. Bitcoin broke 7K. Bitcoin broke above 7K. It's at 7,400. Ethereum broke 5. XRP broke 50 cents. It went to 52 cents yesterday for day high. And yeah, Stellar up 30% to 30 cents. Litecoin up 8%, $90. Cardano even up 20% to 18 cents. So I have a theory. I have a theory about what happened yesterday, and that's actually the video I was finishing this morning. I was trying to finish it yesterday. These videos are basically Miyagi, Miyagi, you funny, Miyagi. Some of these videos taking a little bit longer than I anticipated, and me just being tired from working all day. I fell asleep. That video is almost done. Looking at what I think happened yesterday in the market, having a $20 billion jump in the market. Where did it come from, and where did it go? Well, it didn't go anywhere yet. It's still there. So possibly that's some exciting news. Another thing that I thought was interesting to look at was for the first time we've seen Ethereum's transaction fees actually spike above Bitcoin's. You guys can't see this, can you? The Ethereum transaction fees spiking above Bitcoin's right here. That's pretty crazy, honestly. Looking at this month, July, Ethereum transaction fees, average transaction fees for Ethereum network, higher than Bitcoin's, kind of showcasing and highlighting why Ethereum is not going to be used that much longer. Looking at big enterprise blockchain projects for working on Ethereum, they're going to notice really quick, like, wait, where's all of our earnings go? Where's all of our profit going? Oh, wait, it's going to the Ethereum transaction fees. This is just one of the many indicators showing and highlighting the possibility of Codius and XRP moving forward. And Codius working with anything, you could run it with whatever you want. So I saw another article actually that was really interesting yesterday. It was talking about the Neo democracy of two. I don't know if you guys know very much about Neo or if you follow anything about the Neo world, but basically Ethereum competitor Neo had a weird vote yesterday. Some weird thing that they did where they had like a vote with only 2 people apparently and only one choice to vote or something. I don't know. So looking at this, the Neo Foundation develops the software Neo, announced this month that it had elected the first node of its network. The foundation funded the collective Neo developers calling themselves the City of Zion, but less publicized at the time, however, was the token holders were not allowed to participate in the vote. So they were told that they're allowed to vote, I guess, but they weren't allowed to participate in the vote. And why? You're like, why does this matter? Tell me about XRP, you say. You say, I see no XRP in this article. You got to read between the lines. You got to read between the lines. Basically, I personally disagree with calling it election. Ethan Fast said, I would disagree with calling it an election at all. Such a conclusion is instructive in that Neo is the one growing the number of public blockchains seeking to implement more centralized model for how blockchains can be managed. Basically, they said that it was easier for them to run faster with less nodes. So basically, Neo, which has close ties to the blockchain solution company OnChain and the public Ontology project, has adopted technology it believes will address scalability issues, specifically slow transaction speeds and controversial network upgrades. The problem is that potentially the way that they're going to keep it fast is by like choosing and voting on the nodes for themselves, and that potentially is kind of dangerous. Like that's it almost looks like Neo's more centralized than XRP because of their Neo foundations picking the nodes and controlling the vote. But that's interesting to look at because you can see this is why this demonstrates why Codius is such a strong move. Codius and XRP with the ability for you to pick the amount of hosts that you're hosting your smart contracts to in real time or as you launch or whatever. And also with the ability for Codius hosts to upload a contract and then it freezes it. It keeps it seals the contract right there so you can't edit it and change it. Basically what happened with Bancor and the Bancor hack. Bancor is an ERC20 token. Bancor is an ERC20 smart contract, and basically that means that it shouldn't have been able to be frozen. Like it's a smart contract on Ethereum, but because they coded in an infrastructure of their own contract, they can create their own call for that. Their own Ethereum has an API. It works for them to create that freezing infrastructure. So there's a lot of things that you can see that people will eventually learn how to use XRP and Codius, and they're used to Ethereum right now. But as you can see right here, with the Ethereum transaction fees going over Bitcoin's transaction fees right now, You know, obviously it's not going to make sense to keep doing more writes and more edits, etc., etc. And look at this green bar. You guys notice there's a green bar at the bottom. It's like the green bar is just literally the bottom of the graph. That's XRP. That's right. We got Litecoin and XRP on here, and the graph is, here it is. XRP's green, Litecoin's orange, Ethereum's red, Bitcoin's blue. So you can see very easily who has the least transaction fees. Well, Litecoin's definitely down there, but green's the bottom line. Green is the bottom line across the chart. So good day, Joe. Thank you again, Joe. Another donation. It means a lot. I appreciate it. Joe Nazca leading the board today for donations. He's on top of it. What up, Kung Fu? Do you have a validator setup? We haven't made a video yet for that, but I think I saw some other people made a video about how to set yours up. We were going to do a video for that probably maybe next week or so. How do I donate more than $2? I don't really know. I don't know. Whenever I'm on there, it's just like a sliding bar. It goes up and down. I have no idea. You just learned how to tweet yesterday. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, slide the blue button to the right. That's right. When Xcurrent and Xrapid get adopted, fully running, doesn't that hurt XRP on Xrapid? Uses XRP. I don't think I understand the question, I guess. So I was looking at something yesterday. It was talking about the escrow process for XRP and how it kind of is one of the only working coins. What's up, Jeremy? How are you? Cheers. It's one of the only working coins that can replicate the inflationary qualities of fiat. And I was looking at someone breaking it down in an article. They were talking about how they were literally saying we need the inflationary qualities of fiat. But I was like, I don't know. I disagree with some of his points, but he had a good article. I'll try to find it and bring it up. But he made some good points. He talked about basically the reality of the inflationary quality of fiat to incentivize people to not hoard their dollars. Like, you know, if you look at it the other way around, where Bitcoin right now is a reverse pyramid, like everyone, if it just keeps gaining in value, everyone that holds a specific amount now, if they hold a lot, it's just going to keep exponentially increasing in value. So there's not really a good redistribution of wealth there. It's a very lopsided scheme in a sense. So people talking about the redistribution of wealth, and you can see a lot of coins, a lot of projects when they launched, that was one of their big things. They're like, we want to redistribute wealth. We want to distribute our coins amicably between all the peoples. But you can see that's really hard to do, and they were breaking down, this guy was breaking down why basically he thinks inflation is paramount or important to fiats, because it incentivizes people to not hoard long term. But in reality, that I think is something that is built on, I think a lot of his arguments are built off the foundation of the way the system works right now. But I don't think it needs to work that way. I don't think it's specifically has to be hyperinflationary to prevent hoarding, in a sense. And there's other ways that those systems and solutions could be brought about. So looking at possibly XRP as one of the only companies, one of the only crypto companies that understands the economic process of monetary policy enough to create an escrow system that mimics the inflation process. So, whoa, Joe Nazca bringing it in, bringing us home today. Joe Nazca with the $10 support. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Man, you are the best. Joe, where have you been all my life? Joe, bringing it home with another $10 donation. Thanks a bunch, man. It means a lot. I appreciate the support. So, yeah, literally looking at possibly what does that mean for nation-state fiats that are looking at how do we use these cryptos if they're going to be hyper-deflationary. And that's something that they might worry about because they're thinking about the redistribution of wealth. And of course, you know, it's not set in stone. I wouldn't say that any cryptocurrency needs to be inflationary specifically, but looking at the way that Ripple Labs developed the XRP's escrow, that's pretty crazy. It's pretty smart, honestly. And looking at them understanding economic policies to the point where they might just be way ahead of the game. They might be way ahead of the game. Ripple Labs just like always on top of it, really strong. And then you can see just like this right here is compounding the interest into XRP on top of just like them setting up the obvious need for escrow for the monetary policies to work for nation-state fiats, but looking at the transaction fees and looking at the incentivization of miners. I was looking at something talking about Bitcoin Cash's colored coins, and it's like, if you guys don't understand, kind of like how Ethereum has ERC20 tokens where you have like a subset of Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash has been trying for a while to run with these Bitcoin colored coins. Basically, it's just like a personalized token of Bitcoin Cashes. And the funny thing is that this guy I was watching a second ago, and I was just looking at his video and trying to hear him out, understanding about his opinion about Bitcoin Cash colored coins. And he was saying there's a challenge with POW programs, like proof of work blockchains have a risk when they allow colored coins like that, because what if one of the colored coins ends up being valued more than the foundation protocol coin it's built on, and the miners are then not being rewarded basically the value of the colored coin, they're being rewarded the value of the protocol coin. There's a whole bunch of issues with that, where you can see like it might not make sense down the line, but the way XRP is built, the way Ripple Labs has built XRP, looking forward, it makes a lot of sense when you start looking at some of the issues you have with proof of work, the issues you have with POW, because it incentivizes the miners to mine the profitable blockchain, whatever the most profitable one is. And if you have a colored coin that is built on a protocol token that does not reflect that value, that could be detrimental to that chain. And so looking at the incentivized structure of maintaining a blockchain and how Ripple Labs has shifted that responsibility away from the miners and more to just a generalized choice to support the network that you're building your infrastructure on top of. So I think that's interesting. I think that's an interesting way to go about it. And every choice that Ripple Labs makes, at one point they've been demonized for, and then when you turn around and look at it in retrospect, you say, well, holy monkeys, they might have been doing it right. They might have been doing it right this whole time. XRP made you $3K this week. $60 Coinbase Stoke on tape. Tell me more. Tell me more. What do you mean? What happened with your Coinbase? XRP will be king. Don't get robbed by phone support? Yes, definitely don't get robbed by phone support. Coinbase tried to buy you on Tuesday? Bro. Coinbase is buying you out? Did you hear that XLM is trying to steal the XRP partnership with Saudi Arabia? I did not hear that. I did not hear that at all. I believe it. I believe it. I believe that they'd steal any partnership they could. Any partnership they could, I'm sure they would steal. That's just the reality of it, though. It's business. It's all about business. So, business as usual. Moving forward, business as usual. That's what they're all up to. Tron and XRP now is like Apple and Amazon in the 90s. You know, I've said before in the past that Global Coin Report's not my favorite, but they might be working their way back into the sweet spot with this bad boy. That's right. No, not that. Not that. Anything but that. Next article. Let's just leave that one. Ripple and IBM Stripe executives talk blockchain. That's the headline. You can't see it because I can't get it to focus on it, but hold on 1 second. Oh, there we go. Okay. Ripple, IBM, Stripe talk blockchain. What are they talking about? What would they be talking about? 4 hours ago, dropped on ambcrypto.com, the ongoing Brainstorm Tech Summit 2018 gave insights about the stablecoin released by IBM on 17th of July and the nuances of the effect of cryptocurrency in our markets. Wait, released? The coin's not released, is it? I didn't think it was released. Wow. Did you guys know this is released yet? That should be the headline. That's crazy. I guess it came out yesterday. I didn't even realize. I thought they were saying they were working on it. IBM stays strong with the blockchain juggernaut releases a new stablecoin. Yesterday, IBM announced the launch of Stronghold USD, a cryptocurrency USD pair that's credited on the Stellar blockchain structure. And we looked at this yesterday. We looked at their site. And it looks just like a basic exchange site. Like they're like, we're going to be the face of crypto. Wow, I didn't realize they launched that. That's kind of interesting. So, anyway, talking during the summit, Bridget von Kralinger, and Senior Vice President of IBM's Global Industry Platform, spoke about how crypto, tied with a stable fiat-like US dollar, would only help on improving the payment scenario in existing markets. According to Kralinger, cryptocurrencies have 3 real-world applications. They are disruption of supply chain, disruption of payment, the ability to secure, identify, and create security. She believes blockchain technology and its applications can solve a lot of trust issues in the financial industry, as the technology keeps security as a numero uno priority. Kralinger says IBM has followed the cryptocurrency route because of its increased speed in transactions and the ability to reap over 40% advanced profits. Wow. She stated that because a stablecoin is linked to the US dollar, it makes it easier for banks to accept it as a form of transaction. So, pretty exciting things for everything in crypto. And I know a lot of times we might think like, oh, well, someone else is doing this. I need to jump out of my project that I'm all about and jump into this other project. Don't do it. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. Traditional VCs have noticed that in traditional venture capitalist investment markets, you pick A, B. Basically, looking at the ability. No, tell me more, Joe. I didn't see what you're saying. I'll look at it though. Tell me more. Tell me more. I'll read your comment in 1 second. So, looking at like VCs knowing, in traditional investment vehicles, you A, B. You pick A or you pick B. You invest in one and you let it run. In crypto, it's different. In crypto, even traditional venture capitalists have recognized the ethos of the space is different, meaning like the ideas about the space is different, suggesting that, instead of investing in just A or B, you often invest in both. Because crypto is so interoperable and everything's working together. So, possibly XLM and USD stablecoin is part of a bigger picture that involves XRP and the ILP rail. I can't really say for sure because a lot of this is still being developed. And looking at, again, the possibility of, I don't know if Stellar replicated XRP's escrow system. I don't think they did. I think they just have like a bunch of coins that they're holding not very transparently. But in reality, XRP, with their foresight to look at the economic process of inflation and creating the escrow for those coins, that basically is good. It's really good. So you can say like, oh, this looks bad, but it doesn't. It looks really good. You want this. You want more big companies to move into the space. You want more people to say like, well, blockchain actually is being used by IBM and Stellar now in issuance of a stable coin, etc., etc. Yeah, I need to look at that, Jeremy, to tell you for sure how that works. I think that they have a weird. They're not very transparent. Basically, they're not very transparent. XLM has got all kinds of issues. That's what the Medium article was saying. Basically, we were looking at. So people could say this could be damaging to XRP. I know someone just said XLM's trying to steal some of XRP's partnerships, but in reality, it's a more diverse. It's a robust, diverse ecosystem when you have more big names in the space. So I think this is fine. They said they are not doing a stable coin. Watch video. So you're telling me AMB Crypto has no idea what they're talking about with these 2 articles they released yesterday? And you're telling me Stronghold did not tweet this. Is that what you're telling me? IBM did this to help Amazon. The reason they did this is because Amazon didn't know how to accept crypto in regards to returns. Ah, interesting. Interesting. JP Morgan has Quorum. Those banks are making coins. Quorum runs on Ethereum, though. And that's what we were just looking at. That's what we're talking about. You guys need to pay attention. You guys need to pay attention and listen and put all this stuff together. Okay? Quorum runs on Ethereum. Ethereum enterprise blockchain technology powered easily by the Ethereum network. And you can see right here the transaction fees on Ethereum are above Bitcoin's this month. Transaction fees on Ethereum are higher than Bitcoin's. Look at that green line at the bottom. You can see that green line at the very, very bottom. It looks like the baseline of the graph. That's XRP's transaction fees. That's the average transaction fees. Amazon has a good point. What if someone pays us in crypto and they get a return? If crypto devalued, then Amazon would be at a loss. IBM said, well, you take that. And that's the reality. That's the reality of enterprise on top of XRP. And that's the reality that's why some vendors stopped using Bitcoin, because it's volatile enough that you can lose money inside of a transaction. And then who's responsible? Like if I'm at the store buying a cup of coffee and I have to wait 10 minutes, even at the best resolve time for a 10-minute wait for a transaction, and then all of a sudden in that 10 minutes the coin's price has changed enough where I owe another 20 cents or they owe me 20 cents, like who gets the 20 cents? Do I send it to them? Do they send it back to me? Do we just say like, well, that's it? It changed inside 10 minutes, so it's the price we had. And then, you know, waiting 10 minutes for the coins to go through to get your cup of coffee, it doesn't seem that realistic. It doesn't seem that realistic. So possibly the idea would be, you know, XRP is number one. That's all I'm going to say. I can just repeat that for an hour. XRP is number one. Basically, looking at this graph right here, BTC average transaction fees is blue. Ethereum average transaction fees red, and you can see the spike in Ethereum because of all the enterprise solutions launching on Ethereum, like Quorum. And then you can see Litecoin transaction fees way down there in the orange, and then XRP transaction fees in the green. So yeah, it does sound like possibly like you know, Amazon's considering how to make it work. They don't want to use money. How possibly can we not lose money and make this work for us is a big question. And that's where stablecoins come in. That's where stablecoins come in. You're right, and that's what you said. IBM did this to help Amazon. You know, Amazon wanting a stablecoin, and then who eats the losses? You know, like who eats the losses when the market goes up and down? And the reality is that most consumers probably don't want to pay attention to this stuff. In fact, I applaud you if you're here at all. If you're here looking at this live stream and looking at these numbers and paying attention to these metrics, it means that you're paying attention, and that takes energy, it takes time, it takes effort. And I honestly, before crypto, I really didn't care that much about world politics. Geopolitical issues on the news meant zero to me because it didn't affect me. They had zero effect on me, really. We, especially in America, we live very insular lives. In the States, you know, it's very insular existence, and we can say like big shit's happening around the world, but how much does it really affect us day to day? And so that's why it's hard to get involved in world news. That's why it's hard to get involved in world events. And I think crypto is one of the first things that gave me an incentive to pay attention to world news. It was one of the first times that I was like, I need to pay attention to geopolitical events and how they affect the coins I'm interested in. Because in reality, the issue here is for the first time geopolitical. And you can see like smart money, like big investors around the world know that right now one of the biggest issues as an investor is the geopolitical climate. And you know, looking for long in smart money, looking for long inside of an investment vehicle is harder when you look at the shifting political climate. Like, do you invest in China? Then they're soft power with their yuan. Do you invest in the United States and they're continuing soft power with the dollar, et cetera, et cetera? All these things add up to create this the support of the chaos theory, really. Like all these different metrics are moving and there's so much taking place. It's the first time I really cared about world politics. It's the first time I really pay attention to world news and world politics because it affects me directly in the form of my pocketbook. And I think that's interesting to look at too. You know, like of course people want a stable coin because they don't want to have to look at how much is the dollar compared to the pound compared to the yuan today. And if that's an extra thought I have to think about every time I make a transaction, and someone can take away that thought for me, then I will easily not have that thought, and I'll just rely on my stable coin, which is what fiats are. Nation-state fiats are basically analog stable coins. The problem is we're trying to figure out how to develop a digital stable coin, what metrics support it being stable, and how do you support those ideas and concepts when you sell it to people who understand economic policy, when you sell it to people who understand the reality of these metrics, and then you're like, no, don't worry, it's fine, it's stable, and they're like, stable my ass, who's eating the profits? Who's taking all the money? That's the real question. So, Joe, you had a question a moment ago, and you were saying something about what? What happened? You had 3 videos with Coinbase? They robbed you of 50K. Is that what you said? Joe, tell me more. Tell me more. So yeah, looking at the emergence of crypto and looking at the emergence of stablecoins and nation-state fiats, of course they want to create a stablecoin so they can not eat it when they cannot lose money when the price jumps up and down. The volatility is an issue for them. But also looking at the reality of people are just developing this moment to moment. Like looking at someone saying like, well, I think this will work. Here I created this whole 10-year project. It's going to be great, and then year one, 1 year in, the whole thing falls apart because they just didn't have the foresight to look at where this is going to go. And that's potentially what's one of the more interesting things to look at. Like the people that are developing all these coins, it's like for the longest time we had world leaders running the show that were like, you guys don't even know how to tweet. Like you guys don't even know how to get on Facebook, and you're the world leaders. And then now we potentially have coders, which I would rather see coders as world leaders than anyone else. Like I potentially would rather see some people who know how to implement code as a foundational layer of regulation than anything else. And that's exciting for me. Looking at possibly, for the first time ever, some real smart people rebuilding the way the world works instead of it being the way it's been forever. And I think potentially that scares a lot of people. Change scares people, and that's okay. Looking at we can't go back. Right? There's no way we're going to go back to analog systems. We're not going to go back at this point in time. It's too late. So looking at these fees, though, I mean, looking at this people are literally running to Ethereum to make and launch smart contracts that don't know about Codius and XRP. And we saw this huge run yesterday, and the market's still under 300 billion. And I'm going to go ahead and just say it. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I have a theory about how that happened, and basically what it comes down to is one tweet. I think it came down to one tweet. Joe Nasca. Joe Nasca is our boy today. Joe Nasca is on top of it. Thank you, Joe, so much. I appreciate it. You're saying that this is not the first time, this is not the first video you posted. You have the original video in January. Some guy is still doing what? What is he still doing? He called corporate and kept the 7930 woman on the phone. You're saying he's running a scam with Coinbase. Don't call Coinbase customer support is what you're saying. I guess I have to go back and catch up what you're saying for that. Yo, Joe, what is up? How are you? What's your warning? What's your warning? Just don't use Coinbase. Is that your warning, guys? Joe's warning everyone to not use Coinbase. I've heard some stuff about Coinbase. I've seen some people literally say that Coinbase overcharged. There was that whole moment where they were saying that Coinbase was charging them, and Visa said it wasn't. Coinbase was like, it's not us, it's Visa. Visa was like, it's not us, it's Coinbase, or something like that. I was like, that looks scary as fuck. That looks scary as fuck. So I can look at that. I'll check into that for you. And then Coinbase has one number. Well, if they go public, that'll be something. There'll be bigger repercussions for those type of failures in a sense. Coinbase was double charging, yeah. Honestly, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like one of those they're a great example of the run and gun method instead of the safety first method. You know, like you look at a lot of businesses and you're like, what's the method here, guys? And some people are like, we're going to go safe route. We're going to ask for regulation. We're going to wait for regulation. And we're going to move forward when we have clarity on regulation. And some companies are like, yeehaw, doggy. Let's go ahead and rob that saloon. I just made myself cough. So, yeah, Coinbase and a lot of other companies go about it the run and gun method, where they just charge forward into the horizon, shooting their guns, and then boom. And then boom. Jeff's like, what was the tweet? I'm actually still listening to you. Jeff was like, I was paying attention and you stopped telling a story. What was the tweet? I just had to have a sip of my coffee. Sip of my iced coffee there. Yeah, so basically, this is literally today's entire video. So today's entire video is about this, and it's almost done. It's going to be dropped right after this. So I'm not going to take too much time on this, Jeff, but I'll give you a hint. This is pretty much what my entire video is about. This tweet from yesterday. Pretty solid tweet. A meme and everything. Meme included with the tweet. I think this is what we have to owe for the run. I break it down in the video. We had 20 billion green. If I did the inflow versus market cap, that's about 400 million in. And I did the math and I said, this one tweet might have done the whole thing with the solid meme too. I look forward in time. I really like this one. I look forward in time and saw 14,605 futures. How many of those did Bitcoin die? Asks Robert Downey Jr. None. None. That's a really strong meme. I think that's potentially why we saw green. And I did a whole video about it. I might have just ruined my whole video. For later. But that's pretty much what I think happened. I think that one tweet could have incentivized enough people, enough millionaires to see like, wow, all the millionaires in the world won't be able to get a Bitcoin, I better get one. And I think that caused everyone to race over and jump on the bandwagon. Coinbase terminated my account with no explanation. Cisco, did you have money in there when they terminated your account? Did they just swallow your money? T-Wum. Sorry, T-Wum. I didn't mean to yell there. My mic's turned up a little bit loud today. I'm actually going to buy a new microphone. I'm going to buy a nice, like, blue microphone. It'll just sit here. It might not even be on most days. It'll just, like, where's the other one I have? I don't even know where it is, but it'll just be on. It'll just be, like, sitting right here at the bottom of the screen. Coinbase terminated your account. They let you took it out first, so they notified you. So they notified you they were going to close your account, and they let you take your money out. How long did they give you? XLM did pretty good this week. Moonboy's right. XLM did pretty strong. If you would have got into XLM when it was down at 18 cents or whatever, that was a pretty good turnaround. You bought at 4.3. Did you sell at 5.2? Drizzy? Because that would have been a good turnaround. Coinbase froze my account for almost 2 months with funds in there. You put a hold for 2 hours sometimes. If you mention legal action, they terminate the call. Wow. Wow. Really? Share the coffee? Okay. Here you go. Is this how it works? Wait, where is the, okay, yeah. Can you get some? Can you get some of the, take a sip. Take a sip, bro! I can't hold it here forever. Okay. They let me pull it out. Why did you do that? Why'd you do that? Yeah, Coinbase is crazy. Coinbase is scary, honestly, and that's why it's interesting to see like Vitalik Buterin calling out like he hates centralized exchanges. Giving any authority the control or governance over your funds is scary, and that kind of highlights the issues reasons that we kind of like decentralization in the first place. So. They said transfer immediately. You did transfer immediately, so I don't know if they would have kept it or not. Wow. They said the reason was suspicious activity for you, Crypto Cougar. There was none, and my funds were frozen for no reason. Wow, that's scary stuff. Honestly, that's very scary stuff. And that's the same thing for a bank. I was just watching. I don't know if you guys have seen that new show yet. My girlfriend and I started the new show Handmaid's Tale on Hulu like last night, and in that show, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I don't want to spoil it for you, but basically, the banks freeze and take all the funds of every woman in America. And they take their jobs and their funds the same day. They take their job and their funds the same day, and basically they're stuck. They're frozen inside the states. All the girls in the states are frozen there because they take all their funds and they take away their jobs the same day. And it's crazy. You know, banks can do that. Any centralized authority can do that. So that's potentially a problem. They said there was suspicious activity and there was none. That sucks. Joe Nasca, did you get your money back or did they just take it? Phone support answered and told me to call corporate. Did you get your money back though, Joe? Or like, shouldn't they at least be able to issue a check or something and send you a check? So you mentioned legal action and they terminated the call. Wow. Oh, Joe says he was able to tape them. Okay. That's crazy. So Crypto Cougar, you said you mentioned legal action and they terminated the call on you right then and they said they'd send you an email. Wow. Kung Fu give you 1,000 to have exclusive play. Sure, we can do that. I don't know what that means. What do you mean? Exclusive what? How are we doing that? Coinbase purchased Paradex, which is a decentralized exchange that runs on the 0x or OX. I saw someone the other day. I actually let Bloomberg article computer read me an article, and they called the 0x protocol, they called it OX. I was like, that's actually my new favorite name for that, OX. So exchange that runs on OX protocol. They could be moving towards decentralization. Yeah, could they though? Because I don't think that would make them that much money. Decentralized exchanges would be like peer-to-peer atomic swaps, wouldn't they? Would that be atomic swaps? Coinbase purchased Paradex, which is a decentralized exchange. Yeah. So that's interesting. Banks hold governments hostage. Joe, what are you asking me? I don't understand what you're asking me. Coinbase owned by NASDAQ, and of course they don't want you pumping dips. That steals their profits. Exactly. And I think someone emailed me yesterday, and I was going to email them back. They're like, did you notice that Coinbase always doesn't give you the right deal? Like, you're going to buy Ethereum at $500, and they give it to you, like, you pay for $505 or something, or you're going to sell it 500 and they give you like $495, and I was like, yes, I do notice that. Mostly that's just because that's how they make their money, and because of the volatility of the market, if they don't cover a spread like that, then they will lose money. So that's potentially because they're a business, they have to do it that way. And you could say like, well, why can't they just purchase it right when I purchase it like the exchange does? And well, just imagine if you're purchasing a bigger amount, they have to they have to let the position of the purchase slide. So there's a lot of moving metrics there, and that's why they kind of swallow some of the prices. That's their profits, guys. That's their profits. Where to cash out best? I honestly, Moonboy Prime, I still think that the best way to cash out is to not cash out at all. I think the best way to cash out is possibly just use your BitPay card, maybe exchange whatever your XRP for Bitcoin and send Bitcoin to your BitPay card wallet, and just do that the moment you need the money, because it happens so fast. Like, it takes a few minutes for me to exchange my XRP to BTC and send it to my BitPay card, and then send it to my BitPay wallet and approve a transaction. That doesn't take that long, and then I'm paying just in real time what I was, like, if I don't have any more fiat that I want to spend and I want to spend crypto, I'd rather, instead of cashing out a big chunk and then missing the next run, I'd rather purchase something just in real time with it. That's just me specifically. Yeah, exactly. Kyle's saying the exact same thing. get a BitPay card and start taking out the max 3,000 a day, deposit the cash in your bank, less than 10K at a time. Actually, Kyle, less than 1,000 at a time. If you deposit over $999 in one time, it's they report it to the IRS. So maybe, I don't know about less than 10K at a time. I always do less than 1K at a time, and it might be more tedious to do 10 transactions or 10 bank drops in 10 days instead of just one 10K drop. But I think that they send and report every deposit over $1,000. So I always do like 999 or whatever, or yeah. So you can definitely do it that way too. You just joined the stream. Any news on the congressional hearings from today? Should we go look at that? Because I think what was his name? Sean was just saying something about that too. Sean was just saying that there's potentially some news from Capitol Hill supporting crypto. Good news. What did you say? Capitol Hill's pro-crypto, has to have proper regulations to rid of bad actors and make sure that keeps innovation in the house. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. Just get a BitPay card, exactly. Very important, do not leave funds on Coinbase. They can terminate account or freeze it for no good reason. Thanks for the reminder. I think I have some funds on there I need to send out. Do not leave your funds on Coinbase, guys. No BS, no fees. Everything you have is coins right now. Cool, 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 cool. Cool, 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 cool. Why exactly they charge a fee? They're making money on both ends. Because they're a business. Because they're in it for the profits. They're in it for the monies. Wouldn't it make sense to get a BitPay card and pull out cash rather than going through the bank and getting taxed? I guess I don't understand what you're saying. How would you... Oh, you're saying just pull out cash from your BitPay card. Yeah, totally. That's true. You could totally do that. What I was originally saying was just, just go spend it. Just go spend your BitPay card instead of taking out cash. Don't even worry about trying to transfer it over. Because then, like, what if you go buy something? Let's say I wanted to go buy a new PlayStation 4 because I wanted to play Fortnite, and and then I'm like, well, I'll cash out. I'll take $500 out of my XRP holdings. I'll cash it into BTC. I'll send it to my BitPay card. I'll cash it into $500 cash. I'll go buy a $400 PlayStation, and now I have $100 in cash that I don't want. I mean, maybe I do want $100 in cash. I don't know, but I mean, I'd rather have 200 more XRP. So do you want that extra 100 in cash that you cashed out, or do you want 200 more XRP for when they hit 588 or whatever you think they're going to hit? So yeah, that's a good question. It's up to you, I guess. It's up to you. Check out my Twitter, says Spread the Standard. Spread the standard. Spread the standard. Spread the standard today. Yeah, so let's check out your Twitter, I guess. BitPay card is Visa, so accepted pretty much everywhere. Exactly, yeah. Exactly. What is it? Big money, big money, big money. I want to buy a house around 300K. How to convert? That's actually really simple. If you want to buy a house, then all you have to do is communicate with the seller. Like, hey, you want 300K, how can I give it to you? If you have 300K in XRP, then you could easily just transfer that to, whatever, transfer that to them, and then they could hold XRP if they don't want XRP. The biggest discussion is, what do you want? You got to say, like, what do you want your funds in? If you're buying a house and they want cash, American USD cash, then potentially, there's a lot of ways you could go about just transferring that to cash and then transferring it to them. Again, there's a lot of the acceptance of just what they want. They want a certain type of legal tender. That's the only issue. So you shouldn't have a problem if you want to buy a house and you had enough money. It should be fine. It should be fine. After I'm charged a fee from Coinbase to withdraw, I still have to pay bank fees. Yes. Or when I pay Coinbase, I'm paying taxes. No. Coinbase is not doing your taxes for you. Coinbase is only offering a service. And a lot of that's still being changed moment to moment. Honestly, I think they just changed it to cryptos or commodities now, and the regulation for commodities is different. I know there was a minute where the taxes for crypto was like you were going to be charged for every buy and sell, and so people were saying, you know, only hold over a year, and so a lot of that stuff, honestly, I don't even know about that. I didn't even look at that yet because I was just like, I don't even know, bro. Kind of hoping that some of those laws change around the tax structure for crypto, but yeah, there's a lot of the taxation is an issue for sure. So when you cash out, when you buy, when you sell, every time that happens, you're basically losing 30% to taxes if you pay your taxes. So you should pay your taxes, and you should probably not just frivolously send coins around. Moon Boy, I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch, Moon Boy. I appreciate it. Chances are they have no idea what XRP is. Exactly. If they're selling their house and they don't know what XRP is, you can transfer to whatever they want. It's not that big. It's not that hard, I don't think. The only issue might be finding a way to cash out that much XRP into fiat. And like I said, that's why I think someone with a bunch of fiat sometime soon is going to have to just be like, well, basically, I'll do it. They're just going to be like, all right, I'll take your crypto, hand it over the crypto. Here's a bunch of cash. Someone will do it. You'll take $650K in XRP for a $600,000 mansion in Arizona. There you go. I'm brokering deals on here. Taxes are unlawful. That's right. Hey, what's up, Clara B? How are you? What's your price prediction for XRP into the year? Low price into the year, $10. That's my low. That's my low. It's $10. High price, maybe $22. Clara, why did you give CKJ money? What's wrong with you? Clara can do whatever she wants with her own money. That's her money. She can do whatever she wants with it. Jared Del Rey, he's like, why you do it? Get a cool hat. You will look like Hunter S. Thompson. Okay. Well, I don't know if I have any hats in here. I don't know if this one counts. I don't know if this one counts as cool hat. This is how you just flatten the front like that, so there's actually not even on your head, and then you just put it on. That's how you wear hats now. No? This is Andrew is saying no. Andrew is saying no. Stop doing that. Good enough. Good enough. Joe, try blasting social media like I did. That same day, they unfroze my account. Interesting. That is a strong move, is to blast your opinion on social media. Is XRP hitting $10? Wishful thinking or near future? Is XRP hitting $10? I just said $10 end of year. I'm pretty much just feeling like that's an easy peasy drop in the bucket. $10 into the year, no big deal. But reality strikes, and you just don't know. You know, like, tell me the weather December 1st. If you can tell me the weather on December 1st, I'll tell you the price of XRP on that same day. And you can't. You can't do it. It's hard. Basically, the reality is that the metrics change every day. So, you know, shooting for some long-term weather predictions, rough. It's real rough. In the slim chance XRP is declared a security, wouldn't exchanges like Binance take the XRP coin off? I know Coinbase declared they will handle coins that are securities.
I'm a freaking lunatic. Psychic said $2,000. It will happen in one day.
Wow, one day. I agree. Clara, first just let me say thank you. I appreciate it. It means a lot. You're a sweetheart. You're also just a really positive impact in the community. I really like you. I like what you do out here. I'm always happy to see your support and your contributions to the conversation. Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't even know how to thank you enough. Thank you so much. It means a lot to support the channel like that. And Psychic said $2,000. It will happen in one day. And honestly, you know, like, it sounds like a joke until it's not. And that's what's so funny, too, is, like, sometimes the jokes are all about, like, the information you have about it. Like, what makes a joke funny is, like, really how well you can understand it. And that, to me, is hilarious because I think it's true. It's reality that potentially it could make a huge jump in one day. We could see a huge price move in one day. Just like yesterday, looking at the video I'm going to do later today, looking at the tweet from yesterday and the market's response, you know, like, it's a catalyst effect. Just like one good purchase can just send the whole market running. What is up? What's up? 1,000 bones? How's it going? How's it going? Do you think XLM will be higher than XRP? No, I don't. I don't really. But you know, I'm happy to hear your ideas about it. Killer Katal said, "Killer, you cannot dismiss psychics. My sister goes to a psychic, and she often gives her great info. Her predictions are always accurate." Interesting. Came in late. Did I miss anything good? Well, the stable coin's already out. IBM's stable coin with Stellar and Stronghold's out. Ripple and IBM and Stripe is the headline, and they're talking about their discussion during the Global Industry Platform Summit and how they're looking at blockchain to disrupt supply chains, disrupt payments, and the ability to secure and identify and create security. So potentially looking at those as the indicators that technology is headed this way, and then people saying, like, what about XRP with this relation to XLM? And I said it's okay. I'm saying that it's all right that we have a robust, diverse ecosystem of coins. And we actually we didn't make it that much further into the news yet because we started talking about Codius and XRP, and we were looking at this, basically the average transaction fees for Ethereum and for Anton Dwayne. Anton Dwayne, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Anton, the man. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. It means a lot, Anton. I wouldn't be here without you. I wouldn't be here without you guys. So we were talking about how Ethereum is the enterprise foundation that basically, like, Quorum's using. Quorum's using Ethereum. A bunch of different people are building out enterprise solutions on Ethereum, but then, boom, you can see just this last month, the actual average transaction fees of Ethereum spooked. They spiked. They spooked up above Bitcoin. So the blue line is Bitcoin's average transaction fee. The red line is Ethereum's average transaction fee. And then the yellow one, can you even see the yellow line down there? It's the yellow line's Litecoin's transaction fees. And then green is an XRP transaction fee average. Green is the XRP transaction fee average. It's way, 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 way down there, the very, very bottom. Yeah, exactly. Codius is greater than Ethereum. It's 100% true. And Motorbike Bias, I went and looked through that article yesterday, and I'm going to have to do a whole video on that. That was actually a really good article that you sent me, the labor rates and the malicious activities of them trying to fix those rates. That was really strong, and it definitely got me thinking about the potential of all the things kind of tied to the financial industry and where we're headed. That was a good article. That was a good read. Whoa, Stack Habit, making it in. First one, what's up? Cheers, how are you? Where can I find this chart? Yes, everyone's like, dang, this chart is wicked. How do I find? I'm going to drop the chart in there for you. This is exactly the one I'm looking at right now, but you can go and edit the metrics to suit yourself. Basically at the bottom, can you guys see the bottom? No, let's zoom out. Basically on the bottom of this, you can see Let me refresh it. On the bottom, you can see the, well, you can't because it's too zoomed up. The bottom, you can see you can pick all these different metrics like average transaction fee, cent in USD, mining profitability, hash rate, price in USD, medium transaction fee. It's actually a really, really, really cool site. I have it set right now on average transaction fees, and then I have it set on Litecoin, XRP, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. And then basically I just zoomed up on the last month. And it put us right up into, I guess I did May to July, or May to June, and it shows that's where we are pretty much right here. And then you can change it too. Like if we want to say, like, let's look at cent in USD. That's a cool chart. There's a lot of info on here. There's a lot of info. You can see cent. Let's look at tweets. They have tweets. That's interesting. So you can see the tweets about Bitcoin, about Ethereum, about Litecoin, and about XRP. Look at that spike there, the Litecoin tweet spike popping off. So there's a lot of different metrics on here that are really fun to look at. Cent in USD, you can see that one. Did we just look at that one? You can see hash rate, difficulty, price, transactions, the number of transactions that are being sent. Look at this one. Look at this chart. Number of transactions. Wow. Who's on top? Who's killing it? Number of transactions up in the millions. XRP in February topping the charts. Still, even right now, June, July, we have XRP above Ethereum for transactions and way above Bitcoin for transactions. Way above Bitcoin. So this chart's a lot of fun. I like to look at it a lot. There's a lot of different metrics you can look at and different coins you can see, and a lot of information available for everyone to kind of basically really understand what's happening here. There's a lot of the profitability mining, cent in USD, average transaction fees. Average transaction fees is my favorite because you can see right here all these people building on, all these people building basically on Ethereum. They just don't realize yet that Codius is going to be so much better, and that's rough. Like looking at this moment right here, where you have Ethereum transaction fees, average Ethereum transaction fees up to, is at $5. It's average $5, and even Litecoin at the bottom here is in the 30 cents range, and XRP is not even 1 cent, not even 1 cent. So that's pretty strong. That's pretty strong. Can you build on the ledger? I'm trying to. I'm trying to learn how to build on the ledger. Can ERC20 tokens migrate to the XRP ledger? That's a good question. That's a really good question. I don't know if they can necessarily just migrate permissionlessly, but they might be able to be modded or maybe rewritten or relaunched on Codius. That's a good question. That's something I honestly, you guys ask questions sometimes, and I'm just like, I have no idea. I have no idea. I need to go look at that. If you guys ever want to feel like you don't know something, do a live stream and let people ask you questions about it. You're like, oh, I didn't actually think of that. I have no idea. I have no idea. Can you build on the ledger? Yes, you definitely can build on the ledger. Can I? Not yet. I'm working on it. You went into ADA and Stellar. Smart move for sure. ADA is a solid one. Witness protection program. I don't even know what you're referencing. Witness and protection program.
Kung Fu, I'm still waiting to hear the XRP rap. Keep up the solid content.
Thank you so much. Spread the standard, Sean. I appreciate the support. I appreciate it. And honestly, me too. Honestly, I'm really trying to make the rap at least up to par. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Apollo made a rap, and Apollo, especially after I came out against them making a rap, my rap has to at least be better than theirs, and that's probably a challenge for me because I realized I've never made a rap. I've never made a rap video before, so I thought about it the other day. I was actually thinking about launching a pre-XRP rap. It was just another rap. I was in a practice. I was in a practice rapping and making rap videos before. I didn't want my first try to be an XRP rap video because I like XRP so much. I really want it to be good. But I told someone else. I told one of my friends. I told one of my friends, like, yeah, I'm gonna make a XRP rap, and they were like, "What? What is your plan? What?" They were like, Douglas asking some really good questions, and questions that I'm actually really interested in. Yes, potentially that is something I'm very excited about. And Clara B, Clara B is saying you're gonna do a live psychic stream. Tell me more. Let me know. Give me a notification for that. I'd love to see it. I'd love to. I would love to be part of that stream. So yes, you can build video games on XRP, and that's something I'm looking at doing. I don't even know if I need, a team of that or what, because there's a lot of issues there. I actually started a Discord yesterday and pulled a couple people from the live stream. I think XRP 1000 and I forget what the other name was, but two people joined me. A couple people joined me in the Discord that I made just for us to start having discussions about that. Having discussion for the launch of games. How simply could we work as a team, maybe even in different cities, to put together something like that? So it's exciting, and potentially, yes, I want to build games on top of XRP. And yes, the XRP wrap is coming. Thanks, Sean, for the support. Joe Nasca, appreciate the support. Thank you again, Joe. Supporting us, $2 donation, and Sean, spread the standard Sean with a $10 donation. I appreciate it, guys. It means a lot. And I'll be sure to get that wrap out so you guys can bump it on your stereo. Kung Fu needs a ghostwriter. That's true. I actually looked at something the other day, and I was watching a PewDiePie, and PewDiePie was like roasting rice gum or something. And like, basically, I was like, well, that's funny. He said rice gum uses a ghostwriter. And honestly, I was like, should I use a ghostwriter? I was like, no. I was like, it'll mean more. It'll mean more if I don't use a ghostwriter. Sean, spread the standard. Sean says I should use y'all's liners. And actually, originally when I was writing the rap, I did ask some people to tweet at me some XRP one-liners, and that went pretty well. Basically, yes, if you guys have any one-liners, you can tweet them at me. I'll try to put them in the rap. Originally, what happened was I had a song that I was working with, and I was putting raps on top of it, and it was going great. And then I realized, like, this song just might not be working. Like, the song itself that I was using wasn't really that good. So now I need to make a new song. Honestly, a lot of work that I wasn't really prepared to write a song and write a rap and film it. But I'm still working on it, and I'm excited about this project, possibly putting it together and putting it at least so we can. And you're like, Apollo's rap wasn't that good. It was pretty good. It was, your mind's blown. Apollo's rap's pretty good. I mean, it was pretty good just because of the fact that at least, like, it was filmed with a nice camera and the sound quality was all right. Like, they had a car, they had a drone, it was working. So I was literally, I was like, man, I gotta at least step up the rap game. I can't use my Prius, and we'll figure it out. So looking at this, the Ethereum cost per transaction, Bitcoin cost per transaction. Obviously, XRP is really strong, still moving forward. And PewDiePie is the biggest YouTuber in the world, Moon Boy. PewDiePie is the biggest YouTuber in the world. That's right. I didn't even know about him either until about a year ago. Someone was like, you don't know who PewDiePie is? Get down on some PewDiePie. If you don't know who PewDiePie is, then if you watch PewDiePie and then come back and watch my channel, it'll make a lot more sense. It'll make a lot more sense. Exactly. Spread the standard. Sean's right. XRP is going to reach the top because it only costs one drop. Oh! Dropping one-liners already. I like it. Yeah. So, XRP, basically so strong. I don't want to, like, make XRP look bad with a rap. So my rap's got to be really good, right? Like, I don't want to be like the Roger Ver of XRP. Like, that'd be bad news, right? Like, I like Bitcoin Cash and all, but Roger Ver is a maniac. Like, I mean, he's a maniac. Ripple me this, Brick says. Do you have a Maserati we could use in the video? All right. Well, yeah, dude, let's do it, bro. Let's do it. Let's Maserati it. I have a couple friends who have, like, nice lake houses on the water and some boats. So we could do, there's some parts of that we've got locked in. Definitely Maserati or like rent a Lambo or something. I had someone reach out to me and offer support for renting a Lambo. I don't know if that's still in the works because that was a while ago, but he's a pretty solid follow-through guy. So I think that we could pull a Lambo together. I was going to try to do it without him, honestly. I was going to try to, because he's been so nice. I was like, man, maybe I could reach out to the local rental shop and see if I could get them to gift me a Lambo for a day, and I could shout them out with a channel or something, or give them some marketing exposure. And so there's a lot of very interesting ways to go about that. But I definitely want to do it right. So I'm not just going to release some half-ass XRP rap. You're ready for XRP to blow everyone away, and Cardano can be second place. Yo, bro, yeah, I agree. You and I, we know what's up. I agree 100%. Cardano's all right with me too. Cardano can be second place. I'm chill with that. So we got distracted a couple times here, and we're looking at the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin average transaction fees against XRP. Obviously, this is just huge. Looking at enterprises building out like Quorum on top of Ethereum. Looking at XRP and Codius, the way that works with the launching of smart contracts, the way it works when you're looking at like issues that Neo's running with their issues for trying to keep something fast and scalable by controlling how many hosts it launched to. You can do all that with Codius. So I honestly lost a little bit of faith in Neo reading this article, and I'm trying to just kind of hope that they get their stuff together and move forward. No big deal. But looking at the next article in the docket, why is it so far over? Bitcoin price risks pullback before testing 8K again. That's interesting. BTC could be in for a minor price pullback, having clocked a 39-day high above 7,500 earlier today. The leading cryptocurrency rose from 7,500 on Bitfinex, and it was last seen changing hands at 7,400. So looking for the possible charge towards 8K. When, where, how. This is also the same idea. Bitcoin FOMO is back on track. XRP 1000, you're saying you don't have a Maserati, bro? Why? Why you tease me that way? Why you tease me? That's cool. We'll just do it. We'll just do the rap video of my Prius. I'm sure it'll have the same cinematographic qualities. Whatever word that was. I'm sure it'll have the same qualities as this Aventor right here. It'll look the same. Prius, Aventor, I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. It don't matter. The question is, what has instigated this move? And this is pretty much what we're going to do the entire video about. It's almost done. I was editing it before I went live today. It took me a little bit longer to edit it than I thought. I thought it'd be live yesterday. I thought it'd be up yesterday. But looking at what was the catalyst for the market to turn green, I think I know. And that's what the whole video is about. Here is how new money from Wall Street could fund the ongoing Bitcoin bull run. So saying that we might have passed the bottom, and we're looking at the possibility for a flurry of positive announcements this week, including a nod from the FSB and a big pocket investor like BlackRock. After a few weeks in the doldrums, news like this goes a long way in lending legitimacy to crypto as an asset class which is powerful over the long term. I like that. That sounds good. However, don't say however. However, good news is not as influential as bad in a bear market. The market was quieting down over the last week, which is typically around the market bottoms where investors lose interest and focus on other things. A great technical setup yesterday may have also helped spur prices forward. So investors would be wise to remain cautious. We may have seen a similar situation in April where some big short positions were squeezed, causing the price to surge. That said, if Bitcoin pushes past 8K, it will indicate that a bull is back and prices could continue to climb further. And someone asked yesterday, I think I was in CKJ's live stream yesterday, Realtor Amy was like, something, you know, bull run, etc., etc. And I said, maybe not, maybe not. Everything's still tied to BTC. So, you know, BTC's indicating whether or not everything else goes up and down. And yes, SBI going live with their fiat to XRP pairing does help decouple XRP. It helps decouple XRP. And you can see that. You could actually see that yesterday. I watched this whole thing happen. Yesterday I watched this whole thing happen. BTC dominance is up. BTC dominance is up. It's up to 43%. But BTC dominance was up, and XRP was actually taking a stronger run. XRP made it to 52 cents, and their volume actually, if you were watching it in real time, their volume actually passed Litecoins for a minute. So their volume was above Litecoins, and it was almost reaching towards to the above double of Bitcoin Cash's volume, and then it came back. It's a little bit below it now, but looking at the XRP the start of the decoupling. Looking at the starting of the decoupling as XRP is paired to more fiats and more exchanges launch with XRP. And you can see that the SBI activity yesterday did help bolster XRP up to, I think, from the 48, 49, 50 to 50, 52. And looking at the volume, you can see it's dropped back below Litecoin right now. And of course, with the market cap taking Stellar above Litecoin, but in volume, Stellar's still way down the list, all the way down under, you know, Quantum, under Dash, under Tron, under Ethereum Classic, under Cardano. So looking at the volume of XRP and looking at the resiliency of the market with the uptick that happened, and what does that really mean? You can see that the consolidation is into BTC because the dominance is up, but people were still moving into XRP in good numbers. And what that really means too is that the decoupling starting. You can see the price of XRP is still, or you can see the price of BTC is still dictating XRP's price slightly, but it's not going to take that much longer before the decoupling continues. And even if BTC does drop, you can see XRP take a run, I think, or even you know, BTC still dictating XRP's drop partially. So if we do see a reversal, if we don't see AK, if we do see a drop and it comes back to the high sixes, low sixes, XRP will follow still because the decoupling's not entirely completed. So, what are you guys talking about? You miss Brad Garlhouse? Mark my words, we run up to 10K fast. Brad Garlinghouse needs to go live on NASDAQ. You dumped your ex because she loves Stellar? That sounds good, dude. Good riddance. Good riddance. You don't need none of that. You don't need none of that drama in your life. When are we gonna break 7,500? Am I right? All we have to do is wait for banks to actually use XRP in the United States before the boom. They are still in speculation of use due to regulatory procedures. Thinking back to the question someone asked earlier, if XRP is declared a security, will Binance drop them? Maybe. That's a good question. I don't know. I was kind of hoping to just avoid thinking about that entirely. There's a lot of scary if, ands, or buts if you look at possible security issues with XRP. But again, I've said before, it would not make me hold them. I think Binance is a respectable company. They would obviously take they'd probably move forward in a amicable way, looking at how they would handle that. XRP 1000 saying CK was a little bit rough on old digital asset. I guess I didn't even catch that. I was like in the chat, I was like in the stream, and I was just like chatting with you guys, and I didn't even know he was going too hard. I didn't even notice. 2030 XRP a mil. Gary Gibson says 2030 XRP 1 mil. No big deal. No big deal. That would mean that I basically gave away $23 million on the last giveaway. No big deal though. I mean, it's only 23 milli. No big deal. Woo, Gary. I don't even know why we're wooing Gary, but let's just woo Gary. Woo, Gary. XRP is approaching a threshold. When XRP moons, it will break away from BTC dominance, and that's when we'll get everyone's attention. I agree, Bricks. I agree. People are still just talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum, but we know We know where the real power lies. I don't think you can buy Ripple shares. No, you can't, because it's not public. Yeah, exactly. Spread the standard. Sean's correct. Like, why would they go public? What would they need with that? They have 25 billion in the bank and they're not in debt. So possibly, yeah. Why would they do that? They don't need to. Um, yo, Roger K. What's up? How are you, Roger K? You just got here. We're looking at the big news of the day is Ripple and IBM and Stripe talk about blockchain developments, the ability for them to disrupt supply chains, for them to disrupt payments, and the ability to secure and identify and create security, all big incentives for the use of blockchain. And Ripple, IBM, Stripe all talking about this at the Global Summit, the Global Industry Platform Summit. And also, I was referencing this chart. I dropped it in the links. It's a BTC, Ethereum, and Litecoin and XRP average transaction fees. And we have Ethereum for the first time passing Bitcoin in average transaction fees at the cost. And then looking at enterprise solutions like Quorum building on top of Ethereum, how long before they realize the possibilities of XRP and Codius moving forward, and what that would indicate for XRP, compounding interest in XRP and Codius, etc., etc. So this is a really exciting chart. There's a lot of information on this page too, Bitcoin or bitinfocharts.com, and we just put in the average transaction fee and queued up Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, and you can see this is one of the issues. You can highlight this month specifically in July, Ethereum being used enough by developers, being used enough by enterprise solutions built on top of them that potentially we have a problem with the cost here. And that's interesting to look at. And then we didn't even finish all the news yet. We just started chatting, and we basically made it to can XRP make it to $10? That's one of the articles of the day. Can XRP make it to $10, or is it wishful thinking? And Bitcoin's risks to pull back before breaking through 8K also on the docket. And we didn't even make, we were talking about Bitcoin FOMO. So Bitcoin FOMO is back, and people possibly recognizing the reality that they want to get in before they get left behind, and what that means for the market. Yesterday, seeing some green. And then also looking at, here's how new money from Wall Street could fund the ongoing Bitcoin bull run. That's where we actually just were. We just read this last one saying investors could be wise to remain cautious as we see similar situations in April where some big short positions were squeezed, causing the price to surge. That said, if Bitcoin pushes past 8K, it'll indicate that the bull is back and prices could continue to climb further. So we're just kind of waiting to see where we are. If you look at all the coins, obviously, there's a big run, a big consolidated effort to push into this new position, and we have a video coming out later today about that catalyst, about how we got there and what that means and how I think that happened. But looking forward to the rest of the news for today. Fiat currencies are about to become essential to public blockchains. I think this is interesting to look at, mainly just because we always think it's a if this or this idea, and in reality they're kind of saying like we need each other. It's all interconnected. It's like Cloud Atlas out here. Fiat currencies are about to become essential to public blockchains, and you basically can see that there's not a big separation here. You can't just draw a line in the sand. We're all in this together. So Stellar becomes the first Sharia certified blockchain for payments and asset tokenization. This actually did come out just 12 hours ago. Again, looking at a lot of people paying attention to Stellar all of a sudden because of their IBM stablecoin project. The Sharia compliance certificate, if you want to know more about the Sharia compliance certificate, it's right here that basically constitutes a pronouncement by Sharia Review Bureau in its capacity as the Sharia advisor of Stellar Network. Based on the provided information, the SRB conducted its review on the network's guides, concepts, and related material, and did not find any provisions that are non-congruent with the principles of Sharia. So I don't even know what's going on with this. Sharia guidelines of Stellar Network. there's a lot of issues with Stellar in general, and that was what the Medium article was talking about with the transparency issues with Stellar. But in reality, that doesn't seem to be a problem. That doesn't seem to be a problem for Stellar to acquire partnerships and to move forward and actually see a 30% gain today. So Stellar becomes the first Sharia certified blockchain. What does that even mean? Like, who is a Sharia compliance certificate? Should we? Oh, okay. Thanks for filling me in. Thanks for filling me in, Clara B. Sharia is Islamic versions of law. I was wondering about that. I had no idea what this was. I was thinking it was just like a standalone committee, kind of like in yoga we have the Yoga Alliance. It's just like some rando group of people that are in charge. So if that's the way it's going to go, then why don't we make our own KFN compliance certificate? No one out there has received the KFN compliance certificate yet. I'm thinking about giving it to XRP. Again, they do have to clear a lot of the strenuous regulations of the KFN compliance certification, and I'm looking forward to seeing if XRP will meet all the standards for my certificate moving forward. Again, I expect nothing less than perfection from anyone to receive my KFN compliance cert. So that's interesting to look at. Thanks for filling me in, Clara. Thanks for filling me in, Clara B. You're always there when I need you. What were you guys laughing about here? You hate missing the breakout runs? Yeah, it's rough. Who wants fried chicken and macaroni and cheese? Are you buying? Are you buying, bro? Are you buying? Sharia. Sharia. Dana Palmer's correcting how I'm saying it. It's called Sharia. Thank you. KFN, didn't you say in your recent video it would take all 7 trillion of cash or 7 trillion of gold in order to get XRP to 588? Well, that's the thing is, Kyle, when I did that calculation, I didn't specify this in the video as much as I should, but I was looking at that calculation with the current spread of the entire crypto market. So 7 trillion doesn't need to go into XRP. 7 trillion needs to go into crypto. 7 trillion needs to go into crypto in general, and then XRP can still maintain its third position spot, and you'd still see 588. That's what the math was suggesting. If all 7 trillion went directly into XRP, it might be higher than that. Or maybe I got that backwards. Maybe it does need exactly 7 trillion just in XRP. I think honestly I did it with the entire crypto market, and so the spread would stay the same. And that means that potentially you see that's how you get like the 50K or whatever 100K Bitcoin or something. That's a good question though. Hello, Kung Fu. Ripple's head of regulatory regulations urged England a while ago on further regulations. Is it possible Ripple's waiting to launch XRapid for more clarity from G20? Yes, that's 100% possible. Div3La has got a great question. What's happening with XRapid? We know during the David Schwartz's AMA, people were like, where is XRapid? He said, we want to make it perfect. Or it was actually Burla who said, we want to make it perfect. And he was like, it's going to be out this year. And then, yeah, looking at the G20 summit happening November 30th, December 1st, and what that means when you have the global world leaders sitting in a room together talking about the potential of these systems, yeah, I think that'd be a good moment for them to probably launch XRapid, and possibly looking at the emergence of, how the Fed is literally a private company that's tied into the regulatory authority of our government, and they use 12 central banks or whatever to create this body. I'm looking at something like that happening moving forward for a government, a world governance for banking, looking at like the Fed maybe to become the IFed, International Fed, or the IMF, just I guess staying the IMF, becoming the one IMF. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities for like them developing and talking about and having discussions like what happens with Ripple Labs. Is Ripple Labs like the new Fed? Does XRapid need to get approval from the global leaders for it to launch this huge liquidity pool? And what does that mean for companies that don't need to, people that don't need to build out their infrastructure now? People that don't need to build out their infrastructure to compete with these liquidity pools. That's essentially one of the bigger things to ever happen for the human race, really, is the development of these protocol tokens that we can all use. So moving on to next article. Billionaire investor Mark Lasry, Bitcoin can soon hit 40K as trading becomes easier. There was a 2-hour meeting in Congress today. Yeah, I saw that. Someone else referenced that too. I think Sean said it's on his Twitter, the 2-hour meeting in Congress. And I think we're going to go look at that in a second. We're just going to try to make it through the rest of this really quick. The rest of this news really quick. We only need about 35 more banks, and then we should hear from Brad. He said he would speak when they had 200 banks signed up. Okay, very cool. Bricks, thank you so much. I did not know that. Sharia compliance is like being kosher for a Jewish nation. Now part of a Muslim nation, we'll be buying XLM, and that's a lot of oil money. Interesting. So yeah, looking at the article, it was actually on the Ripple blog, looking at the article, something in the dunes, sand dunes or something, XRP, the future of Saudi Arabia and their economy built off of the Internet of Value. And that's what someone was saying earlier, XLM trying to shop and steal those partnerships basically to Saudi Arabia. And that potentially, I think, is one of the things that people are paying attention to. I agree, Stack Habit. I agree. I cannot imagine another possibility, really. I mean, when is a good question, but when is the real question. Not if, but when. But when. So this guy's saying he thinks Bitcoin's going to hit 40,000. Speaking in an interview for the network Squawk Box, Lasry, whose debt management firm controls about $10 billion in assets, saw increasing ease of crypto trading as a major motivator for Bitcoin to rise. And again, we've referenced in the past that basically this Cash App, Square Cash App, it has been growing in popularity. It's actually almost past Venmo in downloads. Even as Bitcoin's price is dropping, people are downloading this app. They're getting ready to buy in. The Cash App, you can buy BTC on your phone in the Cash App. So basically, yeah, the popularity, the interest in being ready to buy Bitcoin is increasing. The availability and the ease of purchasing Bitcoin is increasing. If Bitcoin hit 40K, what will XRP be? Looking at the metrics for just the average, like if Bitcoin hit 50K, you would say easily XRP would be like $5. That's why I have $10 into year, because I honestly think XRP is going to decouple enough, and it'll have a higher return and growth than BTC by the end of the year, that you'll see Bitcoin at 50K. I'm thinking Bitcoin 50K and XRP at $10 to $22. So potentially, yeah, Bitcoin could still hit 50K. Ease of use, ease of ability for people to purchase and hodl, and that like a tent top pulling up the rest of the market. You could see easily hitting XRP into $5 to $10 bottom, I think. Divla, that's an interesting point. I didn't think about that, but you are right. That is an interesting point. And you know, we don't really know the possibility for Bitcoin on the long. It could be a lot more than we expect. It could be that you already have Blockstream in it. It's got corporate interest in it, and they're going to definitely make it work for forever, the best they can. And so possibly, yeah, that's literally possible. How does one disrespect a bear? Claire has always got some good points. He's got good points. He's got some good points. 10K going fast now. You think it'll be 30K for BTC? So potentially, yeah, that's exciting to look at. Sean just sent me something, so we're going to go look at that really quick. Or wait, there was one more thing in the news today. Oh, that was the NEO article. We already covered it. Oh, I found this video. Ripple could drop to 0. I thought this was kind of a funny video. This guy, Bitcoin for Beginners, is coming out against XRP. I was going to watch it, and then I realized it's 10:30. I should go live. And so instead of watching it, I thought we could watch it, but I was like, I don't know. I don't know if you guys want to watch a video about Bitcoin. I mean, a Bitcoin enthusiast talking about XRP going to 0. I don't know if that's exactly exciting or not. But Sean said he messaged me something, so let's go see what is happening. I'm assuming you messaged me the Capitol Hill video.
The nearly 50 years of history in the technology industry, which shows that communities of developers can share their work openly and properly govern a network without centralized authority. But crypto networks also introduce a very powerful economic incentive that didn't exist in these prior generations: the presence of what we call a token, which creates a direct financial incentives for members of the communities to in fact develop and govern the networks appropriately. The token really, in a sense, is the glue that binds the various players in the
I was waiting for it to say XRP, and then the other symbols. Thank you, Lambo. Thank you, Lambo. I appreciate it. I was waiting for it to say XRP, but I don't know if it's going to say it.
System and provides the appropriate economic incentives for all market participants. Understandably so, this creates a whole new set of challenges for regulators. Consistent with recent statements that we've heard from the Director of Corporate Finance at the SEC, we believe that the regulatory nature of crypto networks varies with the stage of development of a particular project. Briefly, when a centralized sponsor is seeking to raise capital from investors prior to the functional development of the network, this is probably what is known as an investment contract and therefore properly regulated as a security. However, the nature of the tokens that are delivered on that contract can ultimately be regulated as commodities once the fulfillment of that investment contract has occurred. As stated by the CFTC, some tokens are not securities once the network is functional. And in particular, in cases where the network is decentralized from an ownership perspective, we believe the nature of the tokens looks more like commodities than securities, and therefore probably rightly should be governed by the CFTC. This is precisely because there is no centralized sponsor on which the efforts of the value of the token are largely dependent. Instead, the tokens have value based upon the utility of the service to participants. This actually looks much more like the way commodities trade. In conclusion, the U.S. has long enjoyed the fruits of innovation in the form of economic growth, job growth, and consumer utility stemming from many of the great technology companies of our time, and we believe that crypto networks present a new and exciting opportunity for us to continue on that trajectory. Doing so, however, will require that we develop a regulatory framework that encourages risk-taking and capital formation, provides clarity and certainty to market participants, and of course protects individual investors and the integrity of the markets. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Mr. Gorfine, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Conaway, Ranking Member Peterson, and members of the committee for the opportunity to testify before you today. I am Chief Innovation Officer and Director of Lab CFTC at the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission. The testimony presented here reflects my own views and does not necessarily reflect the opinions or the views of the Chairman or the Commission. In May of last year, Chairman Giancarlo announced with bipartisan Commission support the launch of Lab CFTC, the agency's effort to help create a model for regulatory engagement and modernization in light of the ongoing digitization of our markets. Its mission is to facilitate market-enhancing innovation, inform policy, and ensure that we have the technological and regulatory tools and understanding to keep pace with inevitable change. The building blocks of our effort are engagement, testing and experimentation, and education. Shifting to the primary topic of today's hearing, we are interested both in private or permission distributed ledger technologies that can improve market infrastructure and in public blockchains that require the use of a virtual currency. Developments across this spectrum have society rethinking the nature of money, how people transact, and how we can more efficiently engage in regulatory, economic, and market activity. With respect to public blockchains, proponents note that they unlock digital scarcity, enable efficient transfer of ownership, and power the execution of applications. And all of this can be done without the need for a trusted central intermediary that was traditionally needed to verify that each party has and does what it promises. Many, however, appropriately worry that virtual currencies and tokens may be used for illegal activities and are prone to fraud, manias, and bubbles driven by potential misunderstandings and myths regarding their scalability, utility, and intrinsic value. With recent hype around this space, there has also been a proliferation of ICOs, which may be intended to raise capital for a venture and may bear the hallmarks of a securities offering. Our colleagues at the SEC have been thoughtfully addressing related challenges and providing additional clarity to the marketplace. And from the CFTC's perspective, given the potential to tokenize a broad range of economic assets, it is important to remind the public that digital assets can also be commodities or derivatives, depending on their terms and how they are structured. Given the potential and the challenges of this space, Chairman Giancarlo has made clear that the proper response by regulators is not to dismiss the entire movement as misguided or foolish, but rather to take the time to learn, facilitate the promise, and guard against risks and bad actors. As part of this effort, Lab CFTC published its first fintech primer on the topic of virtual currencies in October 2017. The primer explains that the agency determined in 2015 that certain virtual currencies, such as Bitcoin, are commodities and therefore implicate our jurisdiction. The CFTC has regulatory oversight authority over futures and swaps markets based on commodities, and then has anti-fraud and manipulation enforcement authority over these and the underlying commodity markets. It is important to note, however, that we do not have oversight authority over these underlying markets.
Sean's like, don't watch this whole thing.
Additional details regarding CFTC...
So, you can see this is happening right now, or it's up on YouTube, and we'll probably cover this in greater detail. I might just do a live stream later. I was just thinking about this. I want to watch this, and I want to dissect it, and I want to break it down for you guys. But it's very long. So I'm going to watch a few more minutes of it. I'm going to clip around, but maybe I'll either go live later, and we can watch this whole thing together. It has to like keep going. So if you guys want to do it live later, we can do a whole one later, but we're going to keep watching it for now, clipping around. There was a moment a second ago when we first clipped in that he was saying the way the structure is set up for these is obviously with them being commodities or securities until they're functional. That's very interesting, honestly. It's very interesting to look at how he considers them the security until they're functional and then they're a commodity. So we're going to keep letting this play. This is about the only thing happening, and I'll stop it and interject in a minute or two. And again, I want to do a whole video about this. So we'll look at covering this whole. The 2 p.m. Eastern hearing will be more juicy, so maybe it'll be another one later. The popularity of Square Cash down to Joe Rogan. It's down to Joe Rogan. I thought it was interesting. One of the first things he said right here was
science and human coordination.
We didn't even see her.
Advisor fund focused exclusively on investing in crypto-related assets. I'd like to spend my time today to focus on why we believe as investors that crypto technologies make a very compelling investment opportunity, particularly for members of the venture capital community. And I want to start with a definition that's different from the definition I think that we often hear about. So if you focus on a lot of the public narrative today around crypto technologies, there are two kind of dominating narratives. One is certainly around Bitcoin and price fluctuations and volatilities, which we heard certainly from the ranking member today as well as what are called initial coin offerings, ICOs, for capital fundraising. As investors, though, we're interested in the broader ecosystem, and we use the term crypto networks to describe what we think about as that ecosystem. Very specifically, crypto networks for us means a new way to build digital services. And by digital services, we mean any internet application that obviously may exist today. So ride-sharing applications, social media applications, and probably a whole host of things, of course, that we haven't even thought about. But we're...
This guy, blockchains. This guy, he knows what's up. He knows you can put everything on a blockchain. Headphones? Are they on the blockchain, though? Soda cans? But is it on the blockchain? Tell me, is it on the blockchain? He knows. He knows what's up. Let's put it everything.
Digital services are
everything
owned
on the
and operated
blockchain
by a community of network participants rather than by a centralized corporation. Now, I realize at first blush that when you think about community ownership and management of an asset, that may seem odd. But in fact, if you look at the technology industry, there's actually a significant precedent for the existence and the success of community-based networks in the development of a significant portion of technology. First is what is known as the open source software movement. This started back in 1983, actually, at MIT by a professor named Richard Stallman. And at the time, it was a very, very radical notion. The idea was that a community of developers would publish and then freely offer their software to others who could modify that software, who could incorporate it into various other projects. It was really, in many respects, a very liberal
Clara, you and me both.
Opening up and
Clara,
reducing kind of copyright initiatives in software. If you fast forward to today, though, open source is the predominant method of software development and software utilization today in the world. For any data center you go to, which is obviously where major corporations run their internet applications, Linux, which is a major operating system, is by far the dominant operating system in play. And for all of you who, like myself, who walk around with your cell phones all day long, the vast majority of components in your cell phones are what are called Android and essentially open source software. So the history of open source software, I think, is relevant for how we think about the potential for what Bitcoin and crypto networks can be. The second important historical analogy is around what we call open protocols, which really form the foundation of the modern internet that we all use today. An example of this is something called SMTP, which is the protocol that we all use for email transmission. It's an open protocol. It was governed in many cases by open communities, by networks, by academics, and in many cases with government funding. And many people built applications on top of these open networks precisely because they knew that the nature of that protocol would not change. They could rely on the steadiness and the consistency of that protocol on which to build applications. So if we look at technology, open protocols that are well developed and well maintained can become the building blocks on which massive customer utility and economic growth can be built. It's also the case, however, if you look at the startup world, that many startup companies have failed by relying on what we call platform risk, which is building on other platforms that are governed by centralized corporations and then finding that the rules of the road change over time, and that really does significantly handicap their efforts. As a result of this, what we now see in our business is many developers are hesitant to take on this platform risk and are instead looking at things like crypto networks as a new and innovative way for developers to create new digital services without the intended risk that comes from depending upon centralized platforms. In many ways, crypto networks borrow from the nearly 50 years of history in the technology industry, which shows that communities of developers can share their work openly and properly govern a network without centralized authority. But crypto networks also introduce a very powerful economic incentive that didn't exist in these prior generations: the presence of what we call a token, which creates a direct financial incentives for members of the communities to in fact develop and govern the networks appropriately. The token really, in a sense, is the glue that binds the various players in the ecosystem and provides the appropriate economic incentives for all market participants. Understandably so, this creates a whole new set of challenges for regulators. Consistent with recent statements that we've heard from the Director of Corporate Finance at the SEC, we believe that the regulatory nature of crypto networks varies with the stage of development of a particular project. Briefly, when a centralized sponsor is seeking to raise capital from investors prior to the functional development of the network, this is probably what is known as an investment contract and therefore properly regulated as a security. However, the nature of the tokens that are delivered on that contract can ultimately be regulated as commodities once the fulfillment of that investment contract has occurred. As stated by the CFTC, some tokens are not securities once the network is functional, and in particular in cases where the network is decentralized from an ownership perspective, we believe the nature of the tokens looks more like commodities than securities, and therefore probably rightly should be governed by the CFTC. This is precisely because there is no centralized sponsor on which the efforts of the value of the token are largely dependent. Instead, the tokens have value based upon the utility of the service to participants. This actually looks much more like the way commodities trade. In conclusion, the U.S. has long enjoyed the fruits of innovation in the form of economic growth, job growth, and consumer utility stemming from many of the great technology companies of our time, and we believe that crypto networks present a new and exciting opportunity for us to continue on that trajectory. Doing so, however, will require that we develop a regulatory framework that encourages risk-taking and capital formation, provides clarity and certainty to market participants, and of course protects individual investors and the integrity of the markets. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Mr. Gorfine, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Conaway, Ranking Member Peterson, and members of the committee for the opportunity to testify before you today.
I think these agencies will need that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Ginsler. Mr. Ness, 5 minutes.
Thank you all for inviting me to testify this morning. I certainly agree with everybody that's gone before me that this technology does have the potential to be transformative. One of the questions I get asked a lot is, why don't we just call these things securities? We have securities regulations. we could create a scenario where these things get registered and then become quote unquote freely tradable. So why not just call them securities, deal with the existing laws? And I think the problem with that is they exhibit some characteristics of securities during certain phases and not in others. And especially when we get to full functionality, when it's a truly completed product that is being sold, the intention of that product is to be used in a network. And that really can't happen, at least not at the speed of software, which is really the fundamental principle here behind these decentralized protocols, is to allow for value transfers truly at the speed of software. You can't do that if everybody's got to be a broker-dealer and all the intermediaries have to interact in a way that that would be appropriate for securities. So we need to come up with a fairly novel and pragmatic approach to dealing with the fact that there needs to be some investor protections, particularly in the early stages, while the thing is a PowerPoint deck and an idea in somebody's mind. But find ways to create some clarity around how and when it goes from being sold as a security to being sold as a commodity. And that is a very important imperative right now because we are seeing so much activity, frankly. And the threat of sort of people going offshore for lack of clarity is a very real one. I will say in my 25 years in Silicon Valley, I have not seen circumstances where you go to a meetup in places like, Palo Alto or even San Jose, and you see regulators from Zug, Switzerland, and Singapore, and Hong Kong, and Bermuda, and so to avoid any kind of race to the bottom, I do think that there's a serious imperative about getting something done before we have a situation where we're trying to entice people back into the country. Because then the standards would really have to be lowered to do that. So I think we have an opportunity now if we get ahead of the true flight, but that's an important idea around why we need some of the bright lines. To that end, I did in some of my written testimony include some materials and a proposed regulatory framework that both talk about what the existing laws say and how the existing laws treat these so-called utility tokens. And, there's sort of a 50-page memo on how the existing laws work. To avoid having to go through that 50-page memo type analysis with each and every one of these, I think the bright lines are really what's necessary. So there's a regulatory framework that we've been thinking a lot about that would create that set of bright lines that would enable the regulators and the companies going out there to really know how to sort the good ones from the bad ones. And I do think that starts with kind of this test around how we in the investment contract analysis for regulating securities as securities in the primary offering if they're being sold sort of pre-functional before they're fully functional, but coming up with ways to say that once they are fully functional, how do we let them now trade as commodities effectively? And the trading is important because, as I said, this is the movement of value. To have value, it needs a price, and the markets really are a necessary part of this. So the fact that there are secondary markets is a key part of this. They need to be able to trade in those markets to establish price. They also need to be able to be used in their networks as non-securities. And so we need to come up with ways to say, when they're being sold to investors as investments, let's treat them like securities. When they're being used in the network or they're being traded in the secondary markets, let's call them commodities. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ness. The chair will remind members that they'll be recognized for questioning in the order of seniority for members who were here at the start of the hearing. After that, members will be recognized in the order of arrival. I appreciate my colleagues' understanding, and I'll recognize myself for 5 minutes. Mr. Ness, I agree with you that if we don't get this right and we flush the innovators offshore into other countries, that getting them back is a lot more difficult. So hopefully, at least this start of the process with this hearing, that we can get to an answer that doesn't do that. Ms. Balday and Mr. Cooper, you each noted that tokens and crypto networks have the potential to create next generation open internet protocols. Can you flesh that out a little bit for the layman and myself that understand the words, but if you could tell us what those actually mean, it'd be a little helpful.
Sure, thank you. So when we say open, open means a couple things. In this case, we mostly mean open access when we say public blockchains, which means that anyone can join the network. It has to do with the degree of gatekeeping, which is not necessarily an all or nothing kind of a decision. But we can, if we start thinking of public blockchains as being more like a public commons, it's a lot more like the internet, wherein you have a lot of choice as how you access that sort of network. We also usually mean open source, as Mr. Cooper mentioned, so that we're allowing auditing of that code, which increases trust of the code, and most of the core technology that powers the backbone of the internet is open source.
I agree with all that. I would just to give you maybe a very specific example, imagine in the future, a social network. Today, right, you have, as users of social networks, of course, you have an intermediary, in many cases a company like a Facebook, who obviously is taking and utilizing the consumer data, and then obviously developing relationships with advertisers and others as a way to monetize that data. That's their business model. In the future, utilizing a crypto network, you can imagine a world where you as the user own your data. That data is cryptographically secured, and you choose which data you want to expose to various advertisers or other promoters. And the flow of economic value in that case, as opposed to going through an intermediary, might be going directly from an advertiser or a promoter of products to you as an individual, as you've kind of governed the use of that data. So that would be kind of, in very broad terms, the way to think about kind of an expansive view of what this could look like. All
right. Mr. Fairfield, you talked about the Howey test, which seems to be the gold standard among securities lawyers who can spell that last name. You talked about that being maybe the outer edges. Just one of our questions we're trying to answer is, are the securities or the commodities, and where does that transition occur, and is it, where? Can you talk to us better about this Howey test, and why do you think that's the outer edge, and just how it should apply to distinguishing between commodities and securities?
Certainly. There are two questions. The first is, lawyers are inventive. They can rework the formal form of a transaction to make it into anything. Howey describes the outer limit of the kinds of legal forms that can be turned into investment contracts, that can be turned into this sort of exchange. I give you money now, and I wait, and I reap the benefit of your labor on the other end. But the difficulty with that is that while courts must be able to look to the economic realities of the transaction, look underneath the form, because if we just look at the form, if we just look at what it's called, then anyone can just title the asset whatever they want at the top of the piece of paper and escape whatever regulation they want. So courts have to look past the formal titling of the asset to the economic realities of it. However, they also have to understand that the very flexibility of these tools, both the flexibility of legal forms and the flexibility of this database technology, means that it is very possible for people to be using a product for one entirely legitimate purpose and have other people begin to use it for different purposes. An example of this from outside of the cryptocurrency area entirely would be the discussion we had several decades ago on VCRs. Right? The question was, some people use them to make illegal copies, many people don't. How far are we willing to go in rooting out bad uses that are beginning to cut away healthy tissue? And that's why I believe Howey is the outer circle. It's necessary that it be there so that SEC, in this particular case, can reach cases in which people are labeling something one formal legal form, but are actually engaging in an investment contract. That's what it's there for. But it doesn't really tell us anything about what the regulatory landscape should actually look like at the end of the day. In fact, the regulatory landscape, in my estimation, should and will look like something substantially different. It will look like a bit of a handoff, like a relay race, in which for certain functions and under certain conditions, one overseer may have authority under a
Sorry, I lost your mic. Thank you, Mr. Fairfield. Ranking member, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know where to start. I'm somebody that believes we should still be on the gold standard. And that I think we should audit the Fed because I don't really trust them. So what worries me about this is that, you say there's $250 billion of capitalization here or whatever. How much money is actually here? I mean, this just seems like a Ponzi scheme to me. I think the stock market is a casino, so that's where I'm coming from. So, if I'm going to send $100,000 to somebody through one of these deals, who's going to stand behind it? So I give the money, I guess, to one of you guys, and then you turn around and create these things and send it to somebody else. Well, in the meantime, what if you went broke? I was involved when we found out about credit default swaps and figured out that everybody was trading these things and there was nothing there. And if we wouldn't have stepped in, the whole economy would have collapsed. And I don't know if we got a similar situation going on here with this, but, what is behind this? If there's no money at the end of the day, who's going to make up for this? Can anybody explain that to me?
Could I take a shot? I think that I'd split it in two buckets. In this field where venture capitalists, entrepreneurs are developing an idea and asking people for money, they publish a white paper, they build a following, Reddit posts, and these are different communities, social network posts, Medium, and so forth. And they build a following, and then they sell it and raise money. And sometimes it's small, just like a crowdfunding on Kickstarter. But most of them aren't. There's been 3,800 of them today. Over 50% of them fail within 4 months. And there's different estimates how many are scams and frauds. There are good faith actors in the middle of it too. A lot of good faith actors, but there's a lot of fraud and scams. If right now, if they fail, only way you could do is try under the securities laws to say they were an unregistered, non-compliant security and try to, under the private rights of actions under securities law, try to get something back. Nothing. In the second category, it's digital gold. The digital gold, which is Bitcoin. And while there's nothing behind it, I would say, Mr. Ranking Member, there's really nothing behind gold either. All of this. What's behind it is a cultural norm that for thousands of years we like gold. The value of gold, the worldwide value of gold is $7 trillion, by the way, just to give you a little sense of it. But only about 10% of the annual production of gold is used in manufacturing. The rest of it is because we think it's kind of nice to have gold necklaces and jewelry, or we do it as a store of value. So Bitcoin is a modern form of digital gold, and it's a social construct.
But the money, they're just creating this money out of nowhere.
In the first category, the investor type that would be under the SEC. I get that, but in the second category, you're right, which was under this committee. You're going to be grappling with this for a while, I think.
In the first category, I assume those people are sophisticated enough to realize they're going to get fleeced potentially. Are they? Or I think there's people get into that area that don't realize what they're getting into. They think somehow they're going to get rich, and they're going to, get into this deal ahead of everything else, and it's going to go up, and they're going to make 10,000% on their money and whatever else, and some guy is selling them, on this. I don't know where the protection is here for people.
There's some are very sophisticated, like Andreessen Horowitz, and they manage $7 billion. There are many like that, but there are others that aren't. But you're right. I think the Securities and Exchange Commission has a lot of work ahead of them to sort of bring this market into the first part of the market. The 70% of the market is commodities, but the first part, this ICO marketplace, is I think the SEC's they're working at it, but they've got a lot of work ahead.
If I could just add, Mr. Ranking Member, you raised this concept of kind of almost trust, right? Which is, who do I trust? What's the trusted intermediary? The beauty, at least certainly from the perspective of an investor and as a consumer, the beauty of these crypto networks is what you're trusting kind of